Hello, welcome. How you doing? Uh, so today, false responses. Are you sure? The reason I say "Are you sure?" is, the more I get to know about stunt work competitions, the more differences I see between canine and scent competitions. The biggest thing I see is there's no final response. And the reason I say false response, "Are you sure?" is because the definition of a false response is when the dog gives its final response and the substance is not there. I say substance because odor, your dog's threshold shouldn't be that low, anyways. And unfortunately, you have the 5 types of false response, and 3 of those are handler errors. Another one is a training error, and then the other one is I don't even know if it could be counted as a false response because it doesn't really say if the dog gives a final response. So, you can't really say your dog has a false response problem if the dog isn't giving a final response. And when I say final response, I mean the same response every single time. When that dog goes do 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 do, this is it. Not do 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 do. That's the dog going, "You want me to respond? Do you want me to? You not want me to?" Not really sure. I saw something the other day. It was really frustrating. And, I had another lady the other day on one of those forums that said, "Why are you so hostile?" I said, "I'm not hostile. I'm frustrated. Frustrated because you're offering to take this poor person's money and you don't even know if the dog has a false response problem, and what you're offering doesn't fix false response problems. And you're giving her guesses. She needs real answers." My original series, when I was talking about that, this isn't a dog sport; it's a guessing sport. One of your top ones, they had this thing. It was called the decision making process on when to call alert in a trial. The decision making process on when to call alert is when the dog goes to final response. That's when you call alert. That's it. Did the dog go to final response? You call alert. Did the dog go and search somewhere and then go, "Nope, that's not it"? Then you don't call alert. You trust your dog. And literally, it was this long branch of things, and asking things like, "Are you sure with reasonable certainty that you know where the aid is?" Or work all the way to source till you know that you're as close as you can get to the hide. I felt like that, that old commercial, I think it was like Burger King, where she's like, "Where's the beef? Where's the dog?" Like, literally, the only dog that was anywhere on that sheet, whether it be a word, there wasn't the word dog wasn't even on that sheet. The only dog was in the logo. Like, if your dog's not giving a final response and you're going off of your gut that you think the dog's in odor or something, then that's not a false response. It's a handler error. And if it is the dog not getting all the way to source, that's a training error. But you would know that it would have, if that's what the issue was, then that would be the issue every single time. And it wouldn't just be happening randomly on one odor or anything like that. It could be, so that really frustrated me because, once again, people are being told to guess. There's no dog. And yet the dog gets blamed. And they're like, "Oh, you need to take it to the vet." You need to take it back to basics. And why didn't you take it? The dog didn't say something was there. You guessed wrong. Why should the dog have to go get poked and prodded? Why should that handler have to pay a big old vet bill? And then you have other people going, well, what was the odor doing? How, if the dog false responded, there was no odor present. So asking what the odor was doing, I don't understand that one. And I really don't mean to sound condescending at all. It's just I grew up talking to police officers. You have to talk a certain way. There's up the odors, up the odors. Okay, but how does that stop the dog from responding when there's no odor? And then you start messing with the dog's thresholds. Now you got the dog's threshold up high. Now the dog's really going to false respond or miss. It's more likely what's going to happen. People, I can do this online. I have this class online. But you don't know if the dog's false responding. And if it's happening more and more often, sounds like the dog's going through extinction, to be honest. But you don't have any training records, and again, you don't know if the dog's false responding. So, before you go taking your dog to the vet, you go through all these hoops and stuff like that. Make sure it's an actual false response and not just a bad guess. Not you getting antsy, thinking the dog is doing something and being wrong and blaming on the dog. If that dog doesn't say, yes, it is here, then that's not a false response. And until, people will start calling a false response what it is, which is a dog going to final response and nothing being there. Until people put a final response on their dog, you can't have a false response without a final response. It's plain and simple. It's not how it works. Anything other than that, because that dog can't say maybe. He either knows yes or no. They have where the dog will actually, when the dog's alone, and the dog will, smell, and if it's an odor but not the correct odor, it'll push it sideways to the next one. If there's nothing in that one, push it sideways. That's when they do what they call a true negative, or because the dog's, in a true rejection, I forget what it's called, a true rejection. When the dog smells something, it smells just like the odor, but it's not the odor, and he goes, nope, and he pushes it aside. Dogs are able to make those decisions. They can't say maybe. Their only way of saying maybe is not responding at all. So before you say your dog's got a false response problem, make sure it's actually a false response, not a handler error. It'll make your life a lot easier. See ya.